Hello and welcome to RAGBRAI 101, a JustGoBike Podcast production hosted by me, aka Murph from the Murphology Podcast. This is the podcast where we explore everything you might want to know about RAGBRAI. This week-long tour is the oldest, largest, and longest recreational bicycle tour event in the world. That's right, the world. There is no right or wrong way to do RAGBRAI. The goal is to enjoy it. If there's something about RAGBRAI that you find intimidating, you're probably not alone. This podcast will explore, research, and provide you with the basics to help you enjoy your first RAGBRAI and hopefully many more in the future. Now, a disclaimer, I'm not a medical professional and I don't intend to make any medical claims. Seek advice from a medical professional before attempting a tour such as RAGBRAI. If you have a RAGBRAI 101 question, call the RAGBRAI 101 hotline and leave a message. The number is 515-303-0385, or shoot me an email at murphologypodcast@gmail.com. So let's get started with today's topic.
Hi, I'm wondering how you might go about choosing a bike shop for a bike tune-up and what kind of things that they might work on so you don't end up paying a whole bunch more than you can afford. I'm just kind of wondering how to navigate that before RAGBRAI. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Navigating a bike tune-up. Okay, a tune-up for a long multi-day ride like RAGBRAI is super important and hopefully something you've already done or have it scheduled with your local mechanic or bike shop. Whether you tune it up yourself or take it to a bike shop, you'll want your bicycle to be in its best shape possible because in theory, it will be your only form of transportation across the state. Now, how much work might be needed to get your bike safe and ready for RAGBRAI really depends on several factors. This includes how often you ride, the terrain you ride on, where you keep your bike stored, and the overall condition of your bicycle. Now, always get a quote before letting a mechanic start working on your bike, and definitely have them call you if something big comes up while they're working on your bike. Now, here are a few general guidelines to help you determine when to schedule a tune-up and also to help you understand the kind of tune-up that may be needed for your bike. One factor is time-based. If your bike has been sitting unused for an extended period of time, it's a good idea to have a tune-up before you start riding it again. This allows a professional to ensure everything's in working order and address any issues that may have arisen during the period of inactivity. One thing that comes to mind, let's say your bike's been hanging in the garage for several years and you decide this is the year for RAGBRAI. One common thing that might happen is your tires may get cracked or dried out. So that's just one thing to think about. Another factor is mileage base. As a general guideline, consider scheduling a tune-up every maybe 1,000 miles to 2,000 miles of riding. However, this can vary depending on the type of riding you do. If you're frequently riding in harsh conditions like mud or dusty trails, or if you participate in competitive cycling, you may require more frequent tune-ups. Another factor is seasonal. Some cyclists prefer to schedule tune-ups at the beginning or end of each cycling season. This ensures the bike is in optimal condition for the upcoming season or properly stored during the off-season. One final factor is performance issues. If you notice any specific problems with your bike, such as difficulty shifting gears, squeaky brakes, wobbling wheels, or any other issues affecting performance or safety, it's a good idea to have a tune-up to address those problems promptly, especially before getting on your bike for a 500-mile bike ride like RAGBRAI. Of course, regular maintenance and tune-ups can help prevent larger issues from arising and extend the lifespan of your bicycle. It's always better to address minor problems early on to avoid costly repairs or potential safety hazards. So really, what kind of tune-up you may need is going to depend on the factors I just mentioned. Today's caller wants to know what to expect and who to trust, so let's get into the very basics. A basic bicycle tune-up typically includes the following services. First off is an inspection of your bike. An examination of the bike to identify visible issues, frame damage, loose components, worn out parts, maybe cracked tires like I mentioned earlier. All of these are just a visual inspection. Typically you're standing right there with the mechanic to look these over. Another service is lubrication, applying lubricants to the chain, the derailleur, the cables. Pretty much any moving part will help ensure smooth operation and minimize friction, and also to get rid of those annoying squeaks. Tire inspection and inflation is another service. They will check tire condition, tread wear, signs of cracks like I mentioned, or any other damage, and then tires will be inflated to the appropriate pressure. This will enhance your ride quality and reduce the risk of flats. On a side note, this may also be a time that you should inspect or have them inspect your spare tube that maybe you keep in a bike bag. If it's been sitting in your bike bag for years, it may be time to replace it. So make sure you check that out too. Another service is brake adjustment, and this is a big one. Adjusting your brake cables, calipers, disc brakes, all of the things to ensure proper alignment and proper responsiveness when you apply the brakes. Brake pads may also be inspected for wear and replaced if necessary. Assuming you have gears on your bicycle, another basic tune-up feature is to adjust the derailleurs and shifters to ensure smooth and precise shifting between gears. An overall safety check is a super important part of a tune-up. The mechanic will verify the functionality of essential features like your headset, handlebars, the stem, the pedals, the seat post, all of that to make sure that your bike is secure and in good working condition. Overall, it's important to note that the extent of services provided in a basic tune-up are going to vary from bike shop or service provider. Some may have additional services or different packages available, so it's best to inquire ahead of time, especially when scheduling a tune-up. And one of the best ways to get the right kind of tune-up is to just take your bike into the bike shop. They may not be able to look at it immediately, but they'll at least give you a quick overlook and tell you when they can get it in for service. So, how do you pick a bike shop or mechanic to work on your bike? To ensure a good job and trustworthy insurance, it's important to choose a reputable and reliable bike shop or mechanic. Here are a few tips to help you find a trustworthy professional for your bicycle tune-up. In my opinion, the best way and the easiest way is to rely on recommendations. Ask your friends, your fellow cyclists, or maybe a local cycling club in the community. Go on Facebook. Ask for their experiences with bike shops or mechanics in the area. Personal referrals can be very valuable in finding trustworthy professionals. You can also look at online reviews. Check online review platforms such as like Google Reviews or Yelp and read the feedback from customers about various bike shops or mechanics. Look for establishments with consistent positive reviews and satisfied customers. For sure, find someone to work on your bike that has some sort of warranty or guarantee. Simply ask them. Ask them about their services and specifically ask them if they will guarantee their service. Also, I mentioned earlier, make sure you have them call you before they make any sort of big changes to your bike. And then one last suggestion is price transparency. If you're on a website for a bike shop and they don't list prices, for sure give them a call before you make the effort to take your bike in to get their services. And maybe even ask for a breakdown of the services. Make sure that they're doing the very basic to your bike, especially if it's like at a really low cost. For me, most basic tune-ups, I expect them to do an overall inspection, tighten up anything that's loose, and for sure address any concerns I may have told them about. Like one example, the last bike I had in for just a very simple tune-up cost me a little bit over $100, and that included a basic tune-up, an adjustment to make shifting smoother, and they also put a new chain on my bike. If you happen to have several bike shops in your community to choose from, either rely on your friends to recommend a shop, stop in and get a vibe on their services, or call ahead to find out what they offer. For sure, trust your instincts and choose a shop or mechanic that instills confidence and provides excellent customer service. I mean, this is your baby. This is your bike. This is the vehicle you're going to use to travel 500 miles across the state. So make sure it's in working order. As I mentioned, getting your bike tuned up before RAGBRAI is an important step to a successful week. One note, bike mechanics from very reputable bike shops all across the state of Iowa will be en route during RAGBRAI and also in the host towns all week. But use them just for emergencies. They are mobile. They may not have all the same parts that they have back at their own bike shops. Also, their services are not free. And it may take a while. In most cases, you'll be waiting in line. One last piece of advice, at the very minimum, every bike should get the ABC treatment every morning before you ride. And ABC stands for air, brakes, and chain. Check the air in those tires, be sure the brakes are working, and inspect the chain to make sure it's clean. Thanks for the call, and have a great RAGBRAI. If you have a RAGBRAI 101 question, call the RAGBRAI 101 hotline and leave a message. The number is 1-515-303-0385. That's 515-303-0385. Or email me at murphologypodcast@gmail.com. Now get out there and go for a ride.